and is a bit rueful, but apart from that is otherwise okay. So that's good news indeed. Whittam has stretched his lead from Steve Hislop, who had a slight mechanical problem in the closing stages of leg one. Llewellyn, Stringer in fourth, Michael Rutter in fifth, Jim Moody and Ian Simpson, who will not be starting this race, joint sixth. 15 laps ahead of them, and reminder, pole position Hislop, Whittam, Stringer, Moody, Llewellyn. The question I have for everyone, can Hislop turn the tables on the flying James Whittam and pull off a win? But again, a good start by Matt Llewellyn, number 4. Llewellyn is really dynamite, and a fall of somebody on the grass, and number 18 running wide there, and that's Alex Buckingham on the Yamaha. He was running wide, and there is a fall. Meanwhile, on the first lap, the race goes on. A terrific start again by number 4, Matt Llewellyn, who is carrying, in actual fact, 2 of our cameras. He's out in front. He started leg 1 in the same fashion. He started at Brands Hatch by leading the second leg as well, so he really is electric out of the gate. Ray Stringer's in second. That's good news for number 17, Ray Stringer from Stoke Golding, who has to work very hard to come through, but now he's in second. This will help a lot.
The interesting point was that the 2 favourites for the race, James Whittam on bike 69 and Steve Hislop, are currently in 5th and 6th positions. So they have a lot of work to do to get past the 4 guys that are in front of them. No doubt that will happen as the race unfolds, but it's also nice to see Jim Moody on bike number 2 up with the leading bunch, as Michael Rutter there on bike number 5. So we've got all the top contenders really in this first bunch, and it's a question of them just settling the machines down, getting the tyres nice and warm and all bedded in, as Whittam, as I say, James Whittam moves up to 4th. So, and this is on board with James Whittam coming through the start and finish area. You can see Ray Stringer, Jim Moody and Matt Llewellyn in front as they heel the bikes over at 90 miles an hour through this right-hand bend in 3rd gear, 4th gear, 5th gear, 6th gear. And that was the shot. Oh, and James Whittam's in all sorts of trouble, and he's on the grass. Whittam's definitely on the grass, and that is probably his race over. Oh, that was incredible. He got the bike out of shape as we went down the hill, and it locked up the rear end, and he couldn't make the corner. And that, unfortunately, is the end of James Whittam's race.
Well, what is sensational is that that's elevated Jim Moody into a very good second place. He was there already. Stringer in 3rd, Matt Llewellyn then home and dry in the lead at the moment. Hislop moving through into 4th, having just passed number 5, Mike Rutter. Terrific stuff. Unfortunate for James Whittam. Good to know, though, that he's fit and well, but one thing he won't be doing is going away with 4 wins in a row. He, in fact, will not score any points in this leg, and that gives Steve Hislop a real chance now to move into the championship lead. But in order to do that, Hislop, number 11, who is currently in 4th place, there he is, has to win this race.
The interesting thing is, if you watch the exhaust of Moody's bike on bike number 2, you can see the flames coming out, and that's due to that machine is a fuel injection machine, and it's carbureting. When the throttle's closed, it's loading up with fuel and setting fire. So look at the flames coming out of the rear of that exhaust. There he goes. And that must be quite off-putting for Ray Stringer there. He's not going to want his moustache singed on that, is he?
Looking rear-facing now from race leader number 4, Matt Llewellyn, at the pursuing Honda of Jim Moody. And now we really do have an international superbike race on our hands. Llewellyn pulling away on the powerful Ducati from the Honda. He just leaves them on that bit. Look at the gap. There's Llewellyn on his way to what could be his first win in this class, and that will be great stuff indeed. Llewellyn has had 2/3 and a second place. Is he on now for 15 points and a win? Steve Hislop obviously has to do something about it. Hislop is now up to 3rd, Jim Moody down to 4th, Mike Rutter number 5 in 5th. Hislop senses that he could have a win on his hands, but he's got a very determined Ray Stringer, number 17, ahead of him with the green helmet. Stringer from Stoke Golding, having got the Ducati this season, has been a real force to be reckoned with, and he's going to keep Hislop behind him, whatever it takes.
Of course, Stringer on bike number 17 and Hislop are teammates, so let's not overlook that. And Hislop looks like he's got a problem. So Hislop is dropping back. Definitely a problem for Steve Hislop on bike 11. Moody and Rutter have both passed him as the flames keep shooting out of Jim Moody's exhaust pipe. But Hislop had a definite problem. Whether he's just giving them all a chance or what, I don't really know, because he certainly doesn't look to be in difficulties as he comes through the start and finish area. So we'll just keep our eye on Steve Hislop's bike. This is on board with the leader, Matt Llewellyn, looking back at bike number 17, Ray Stringer, and you can see that they've got quite a gap now on the 3 riders pursuing them, and the fastest lap there to Matt Llewellyn, 1:35.88.
Ray Stringer, number 17, in second place, is looking incredibly determined. There he is, Stringer, who's had a lot of success in national competition over the years. We're looking back now from the race leader, and you can see for yourselves just how close it is. 3, maybe 4 bike lengths, that's all, and they've stretched out now. Hislop's still in 4th, so whatever problem he had, it was just a blip, because he's gone back again past Moody. This is the race leader again, going away from Ray Stringer's Ducati. I remind you that Matt Llewellyn, the race leader, number 4, changed his complete engine gearbox assembly last night, finished the job off this morning. It also appears to have cured his clutch problem. He had a slipping clutch late yesterday afternoon, and I think he senses, and I'm sure his pit crew sense, that he is on his way possibly to a win. He's got to stay on board, he's got to keep Stringer behind him, and Stringer, number 17, really senses that he too could win this second Superbike leg here at Oulton Park. And Ray Stringer is just stalking Matt Llewellyn, looking for some way through. Llewellyn wriggling just a little bit as he came out of Deerleaf. Across the line they go again, down through the gearbox, 3rd gear, 90 miles an hour. Matt Llewellyn accelerated away down through the avenue, 4th, 5th, 6th. They just bear right before the left-hander, the 4th gear left-hander here at Cascades, taken at about 90 miles an hour, up through the gearbox again, 5th, into 6th, along Lakeside, and then the very tight Island Bend, which is about 120. That's a lot tighter than it looks before the 2nd gear right-hand banked hairpin, the Shell Oils corner. Stringer right on the rear wheel of Matt Llewellyn as they head off down towards Fulston's. Hislop being dropped away, but he's still there in 3rd. Hislop up to 3rd again. Whatever it was, Roger, has gone away.
Well, whatever it's gone away, and my tip is that this, at the end of this lap, you'll see Hislop with the fastest lap of the race, because this is a sensational lap from Steve Hislop. He's passed Michael Rutter, who previous to this had the fastest lap. He's now in pursuit of teammate Ray Stringer and race leader Matt Llewellyn as they go up Clay Hill and round, flicking right into Druids, 110 miles an hour, knee touching the road. Watch the front wheels lift slightly as they come out of there. That was Stringer's lifting. He's got tucked down. He's going to go down the outside, inside of Matt Llewellyn to take the lead, and he has done that. That's going to slow Matt Llewellyn down a little bit and allow Hislop to catch up. So whatever the problem was with Hislop, certainly recovered, and Hislop's on the charge.
Well, I was dreading the fact that this race would become processional and that Jamie Whittam would streak off, but of course Jamie Whittam went adrift. We're now looking from Matt Llewellyn ahead at Ray Stringer, who just overtook him and took the lead, but Llewellyn's still charging very, very hard indeed. This race, though, has proved to be a fantastically close one, with Ducatis in the top 4, it's true, but Jim Moody, number 2, on the first of the Hondas, chased by number 34, Paul Brown, in 6th place. Then we have in 7th place Sean Muir on the Colchester Motorcycles Kawasaki, and the 4-cylinder machines are really putting some pressure on in this second leg. Hislop, though, in 3rd, number 11, and he needs to win if he's to go away from Oulton Park leading the championship. Matt Llewellyn similarly would dearly love a win, as indeed would race leader Ray Stringer.
Well, it certainly was the fastest lap that Hislop had done during the race. He's now in 3rd and looking very threatening indeed. Jim Moody on the first 4-cylinder machine is being tailed off slightly. This is Matt Llewellyn on board, and that is Ray Stringer coming up the inside of him, and that's Lodge Corner, and that's just how it looks from when you're sat on the machine. And Stringer still is in front with Llewellyn second and Hislop third. Now, race tactics have got to start coming into this soon, and I would imagine that Hislop's going to try and get past Llewellyn as soon as he possibly can. We're still relatively early in the race, about a third, just over a third race distance, so Hislop's not going to panic too much at this stage, but I must say that all of these top 5 guys are really lapping quite quick.
Yeah, that's a good point, Roger. It's a 41.5-mile race, and they're on lap 7 now, so we're not quite at half distance yet. There's still a long way to go in terms of potential machine problems, potential rider fatigue, potential tyres getting out of shape and causing all sorts of problems. And Hislop with Llewellyn, Hislop number 11 in third, and this is where he's going to go for it. Is Matt Llewellyn going to give him enough room? No, they all catapult out of there. Slingshot, I think, is the word, out towards the Fulston chicane, and Hislop's bike is pretty quick, but is it going to have the legs for Matt Llewellyn's Ducati as they go down over the hilltop towards Knickerbrook? Matt Llewellyn, that's the man chasing him. Steve Hislop, who pulls out of the slipstream, not quite fast enough, but my goodness me, that was close. Hislop with his knee almost on the tarmac. Llewellyn in second. Ahead of them both is Ray Stringer, and they're coming up to the right-hander now at Druids. Hislop looking still at the inside, and they've by no means shaken off young Michael Rutter, who's riding number 5 in 4th place, and still Jim Moody is there. So a much, much closer race this time. Look at Hislop going round the outside, having a look as they drop down through Deerleaf across, oh dear me, across the line again. Great stuff this, Roger, and my money, I think, is on Steve Hislop.
Well, we don't know quite what problem Hislop's riding with, if at all, of course, so that needs to be considered. But he's certainly crawling all over the back of Matt Llewellyn like a rash at the moment, and Ray Stringer's not going to be spared either, because as we talk, Hislop's gone through and he's passed Matt Llewellyn, and now it's just a question of getting past his teammate in front of him, but then there are plenty of laps to do. We see there lap 8 out of 15, so just about half race distance, just over, so Hislop's going to take his time. I think that's the last we've seen of a charge from Matt Llewellyn, and I think the race win is definitely going to come from the Devi Mead Ducati team of either Hislop or Stringer.
Ray Stringer's track record, he's the race leader, number 17, is 2 fourths and a fifth, and Hislop going for the lead and takes it, number 11, Steve Hislop, who has had 2 second places and a third, and if this stays the way it is, he will move into the championship lead, because the championship leader, Jamie Whittam, is out of the running. Hislop very much on a charge, leading beautifully. Ray Stringer with a wheel in the air, Matt Llewellyn tucked in, number 5 Mike Rutter with a huge wheelie, and Jim Moody, a Herculean task on the Honda, the fire-breathing Honda, in 5th place.
Hislop, of course, a super fit athlete, really, trains very, very hard indeed in the Isle of Man, where he lives, where he's set himself such really a standard by winning those 11 Isle of Man TTs, signified by the number on his bike, number 11. He does a lot of mountain biking, he does a lot of jet ski riding, certainly a fit lad, and goes about his racing in a very professional way indeed. He's setting himself a task now of working hard to try and pull away from his teammate Stringer. He appears to be doing that, and Llewellyn's back through into 2nd place, so that's Llewellyn through, and that could mean that Hislop has got a charge on his hand, because if Stringer were working to team orders and going to block Llewellyn, then that's foiled, because Llewellyn now through into 2nd.
That also means, in terms of the mathematics, that if Matt Llewellyn should finish in 2nd place, he will move to within 1 point of Jamie Whittam's 45-point total that they came into this race with. And Hislop, as I said earlier, will go ahead, because Hislop will move on to 49 points.
And this is the overtaking manoeuvre from Matt Llewellyn. Up the inside there of Ray Stringer, that's into Lodge Corner, and quite a fabulous move there from Llewellyn. I must say he's riding exceptionally well.
Well, I thought 1994 was the best season Matt Llewellyn had ever had, and he was coming good, but this year, since getting the Ducati going as well as it is now, he really has blossomed. And I think we're seeing Matt Llewellyn at the pinnacle almost of his career. Of course, he would dearly love to become British champion in this class. He would very dearly love to win the Super Cup, and of course maybe then move on to bigger things in terms of international Superbike competition. But certainly a good second place in this race, and running well and getting better all the time. And that's Stringer. That is Ray Stringer, and Stringer went down very, very heavily indeed. It was all locked up. There was a lot of smoke coming from the back, and the bike was all but disintegrated. Ray Stringer fell very heavily indeed.
The bike, by the look of it, has actually gone right over the top of the Armco barrier. We would need to look at a replay of that to actually see what was happening, but it looks to me like there's oil all over the back tyre. And this is the shot of it, and that's Matt Llewellyn coming into the picture now, and Stringer's certainly all completely locked up, and that was definitely a problem with the engine. I would imagine the engine has locked up, either seized up, conrod broken, but there was certainly a lot of oil on the back tyre, and Stringer had no choice but to put the thing straight into the bales.
I have to say the marshals were extremely lucky, because at that particular point on the circuit there were several marshals, and by some miraculous means the flying bike of Ray Stringer missed the marshals who were gathered at that particular spot. Stringer was actually off the bike at the time it went into the tyres, so straw bales as well cushioned the impact, and we will bring you news on Ray Stringer, the unfortunate Ray Stringer, just as soon as we can, but he certainly sat up immediately after the impact. Will obviously be feeling a bit bruised, but as soon as I've got some information on that, we will of course let you know. The yellow flag out, meaning the riders are allowed to proceed with caution, and no overtaking is permitted under the yellow flag. Steve Hislop has his hand in the air, and it appears that the race has been stopped. There is a red flag. Hislop knew the score, put his hand up. The race is stopped due to the incident involving Ray Stringer. Well, Roger, that was hectic indeed. Stringer went in there in all sorts of trouble, and he's now receiving rapid attention from the first aid people and the marshals at the scene.
The problem is that another rider has fallen because there is oil on the track. I noticed as Steve Hislop went down into Island Bend that there is a distinct trail of oil, and that is obviously a consequence of Ray Stringer's engine blowing. But we have another rider down there and obviously being attended to.
The incidents which caused the stoppage of that race, let me bring you up to date with the condition of the two riders. Number 17, Ray Stringer, who went into the tyre wall, has back injuries, but is otherwise okay. He's been sitting up and smiling and chatting to the medical staff. Number 81, Martin James, has head injuries, but he too has been talking to the officials and the medical people. Both riders are being taken to hospital for x-ray and observation, but generally speaking, their condition is okay. We do have a result. The 10 laps status stood. Hislop came in with the win. Matt Llewellyn was in second place. Mike Rutter was third on another Ducati. Moody and Brown brought the Hondas into fourth and fifth, and Brian Morrison, sixth for him on the Kawasaki. What that does to the championship standings puts Hislop in the lead because Whittam didn't score. Matt Llewellyn just 1 point behind James Whittam. Rutter moves into fourth. Stringer is there on 22, and Jim Moody on the Honda, sixth on 17 points.